Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, which means with God's assistance, we begin. Uh, Welcome to Monday morning programming right here on American Muslim 360. My name is William Kareem, and the name of Monday morning programming is Living in the Upload Life. This program came together for the purpose of trying to stay up with the technology and what's going on as far as technology is concerned in the pioneer generation's life. Some of us were born in the 50s and 60s, 70s. And the way that technology is advancing, it advances, it just advances so fast that, it's kind of important to keep up with it to some degree, you know. Um, but not to get so involved in the technology to the degree where you forget about the real world. I mean, because the technology takes us into the upload life. It takes us into the World Wide Web. And as human beings, we live in reality along with the rest of God's creation. And what are you talking about? Well, we weren't made to, the human being wasn't made to live on Mars, as some people say that, like they're going to explore living on Mars. For what? Because you want to abandon Earth because the human being is not taking care of Earth, is just disparaging Earth, is doing so many um, cruel, cruel, selfish, um, things to for financial gain, for personal gain, for greed to a great degree. Because there's so many humans that just want to own. I want to own not a part of the earth. I want to own a whole lot of the earth. Why? I want to own so much of the earth so I and those that I care about can prosper and everyone will be under me, kind of thing. You know, I've brought this up before. The person who is supposed to be the richest person in the world has $360 trillion, so it's said. $360 trillion. And this is the same person that says that, they want to establish a colony on Mars with human beings. Um, but human beings weren't made to live on Mars. Mars has its own life forms on Mars. You might not see them, but there are life forms on Mars. What makes you think that there's not life forms on Mars or Venus or Pluto or Saturn or Jupiter? What makes you think that there's not life forms on there? I mean, why would you think that? Because you can't see it. Oh, because you don't know that they exist. It's like it doesn't exist because you don't know it exists. That's a very selfish way of thinking about it. Mars has its own life form. Uh, because Mars has a gravitational pull. Mars has an atmosphere that things exist in, its atmosphere. So, and that's the same thing for the human being. We live on Earth, and the atmosphere that's here on Earth is why we're able to grow and develop and continue to survive because we are in the right atmosphere that's good for a human being, for cows, for flowers, for all these things that are happening here on Earth. So that this is where we belong to a great degree. And so, like I said, I was telling you um, about our responsibility basically is to take care of the earth. And taking care of the earth, we take care of ourselves. But there's so many people that want to possess it to a great degree. Um, And it may be just the way that we understand it in American culture. Maybe in American culture, that's the way that we understand it. Maybe in Chinese culture, maybe they have another way of dealing with their culture in their society. Because from what I hear, Chinese culture is doing pretty good. And not only are they doing pretty good, but they are um, making agreements with other cultures and trading back and forth with each other so that they can sustain themselves and also they have a bartering situation. Well, you do this for me, China says, and then I'll do that for you, and especially in many parts of Africa. But here in the United States, we have a situation where people are we have a government that is doing this tariff thing. And I don't know much about the tariff thing. I really don't. You probably don't either. What I know is how is it affecting my pocket? That's the way that I look at it. Well, how is it affecting my pocket? How is it affecting the way that I live, et cetera, et cetera? And there are other people that feel that way as far as how the tariffs and the immigration policies here are affecting their families, especially like the Hispanic families. The Hispanic families have come under fire. uh the latest families, the latest culture that's come under fire is the Somalis have come under fire here in the United States. um So, this just the the time that we live in. Um, and then there's this whole thing about mass shootings that mainstream media continues to tell us about in the upload life. This is the only reason why we know about it. I go outside, I went outside today, 18 degrees in, New York City. And, I went for a walk around the block. It was nice and cold. I didn't have any problem with the people that was going looking like they were getting ready to go to work or getting ready to take their children to school. We didn't have any fatal shootings going on in our neighborhood. But mainstream media, the upload life tells us about us. I'm talking about here in New York. It tells us about the shooting that happened in Minnesota. Yeah, there was well, no, no, not the shooting, but the immigration policy that an American citizen was detained and roughed up by ICE agents in Minnesota. But I mean, if it wasn't for mainstream media, I wouldn't know about that. It's not in my neighborhood. They tell us about the war in Ukraine. What the heck do I care about the war in Ukraine? What's going on in America? Tell me something about, America. Uh, the shootings that happened in other Australia recently had a shooting. What the heck do I need to know about the shooting in Australia? Yeah, a father and son, they got together and they killed 15 people. What do I need to know about that for here in America? But this is what we find in mainstream media. Oh, and the big thing in the mainstream media is the Epstein files. What do I need to know about the Epstein files? It's just a bunch of gossip, and it has nothing to do with my life. So I'm really not interested. It's just gossip. That's all it is. Who did you hear about the Epstein files? I really don't care. Do you really care about the Epstein files? Does it really have an effect on your life? And then, we hear about the Supreme Court, about what the Supreme Court is doing. I've listened to some of the remarks about the Supreme Court, about gerrymandering that's going on in the states of Texas and, other places, this whole thing about gerrymandering. that's going on. I mean, I've heard about it. Um, I'm interested in it only to the degree that, just to see how people are trying to swindle the government. I listened to in Upload Life about how uh, crooks are getting out of jail because um, they're being pardoned by the commander in chief. There was one that was interesting that there was a crook that was taken to jail for trying to rig the election. And she was a well-to-do woman who was, I don't know what kind of affair that she was at, but she was dressed very nicely. And the police came in and started to tell her she's under arrest. So this happened about, well, I forgot when it happened, but I think she got 7 years. She was convicted and got 7 years for trying to rig the election. So the commander in chief heard about it. And, this is the commander in chief who pardoned the January 6th rioters on the Capitol. Okay. That's what he did. He pardoned them. And, a lot of people was pissed off about that. So, he's going around and he's been pardoning a lot of people. But this one in particular, he wrote that, he was going to pardon this woman who who was convicted of election fraud by a group of her peers. I mean, she went to trial, et cetera, et cetera. And he said he was going to pardon her. But come to find out, he can't pardon her. Why? Well, because she wasn't convicted by the federal government. She was convicted by the state government. And so the commander in chief of the federal government doesn't have authority over the state government. And so he couldn't pardon him, but he thought he could. All I have to do is write an executive order. That's all I have to do, just write an executive order and it's done. Well, this was one time it wasn't done. And, so it becomes interesting. I was listening to in the upload life, listening to the Supreme Court. And what has happened is there's a organization, a department that's called the Federal Reserve. And there was a black woman that was on the Federal Reserve. And the commander in chief decided to, you know, dismiss her. And so she took it to court, saying, look, you have control over your people in the federal government, but the Federal Reserve is not part of the federal government. It's just the name of the Federal Reserve, but it's an independent, a quasi-independent, meaning, you know, um, it's really not a part of the government. It's a separate entity. So she was like, yo, you can't fire me. And he said, yeah, well, yes, I can. So she sued him. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is listening to it. And this is what this administration does. That when judges rule in the lower courts, they automatically, this administration automatically takes it to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said that. It said, look, here it is. You don't get what you want in the lower courts, and so you continuously so you bring it to us. You continue to bring it to us. And their answer for it was, well, we got a right to do that. We got a right to appeal. If we don't agree with the decisions of the lower courts, we have a right to continue to an appeal process until it gets here to the federal government. You can't, in other words, you can't stop us from doing that because that's part of the process. But that's the kind of pressure that this administration is putting on the Supreme Court. And in many cases, the Supreme Court has went along with this administration. And that's why they are emboldened to a great degree. They are emboldened because, that it's like the Supreme Court is going along with them. So it doesn't matter if they don't like what the lower courts are doing. It's like, well, we're going to take it to the Supreme Court. That's all. We'll take it to the Supreme Court. We don't have to agree with the decisions of judges. That's with federal judges in the lower courts. I'll appeal it to the other court, to the Supreme Court. I'll appeal it all the way up to the Supreme Court if I don't like what's being done. So it puts a lot of pressure, and I don't even know if it's called pressure on the Supreme Court. But Supreme Court is hearing more cases than it usually hears, and it's all because of a disregard that this administration has had for the lower courts. I'm sharing with you what I've listened to on the Upload Life, um, on oral arguments at the Supreme Court. And I mean, they can be very technical, but like you can follow along. You can follow along what's being said. And what's interesting is that you get, there's an opportunity to hear all the justices. There's nine of them. And so you get an opportunity to hear from uh, all of the judges, Clarence Thomas, um, Amy Barrett, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Sotomayor, all of them. You get to hear from all of them. And what's interesting is that they all make different arguments, but the arguments that they make, a lot of times is uh, complementary to each other many times. But sometimes you can hear the disparage that like someone will they'll ask, some of the judges will ask a leading question for for the uh for the attorney to answer. So they'll ask a leading question uh to show what uh what direction that particular judge is going into. So there's been some some very interesting arguments regarding that situation. But this is what goes on in the upload life. This is one of the things. This is one of the issues that I've seen in the upload life. That was interesting. Um, Another interesting idea that I've seen in the upload life is they have a fashion. They have a fashion that's going on that I found that was interesting. And this is by let me see. Let me see who this is by because oh, is this it's just a story. So let me see if there's more. So I have that in favorites, but what I need to do, I need to I do history and see. No, I don't want history. No, I do want history, but okay. Kelly Bosch. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it up because this is I found this to be very, very interesting. Um and I'm going to play. I just want to pull it up and play this for you because I found this to be pretty interesting. Let me see. I could do it just like this and do history. And okay, so I'm sure that you'll be able to see this. Now, there are some, this is what you call AI. This is an AI film compilation. Kelly Bosch, Boesch, AI short films and music videos. What is interesting about this video is the fashion. The fashion is very, very interesting. And I believe that this fashion is what is going to be in the future. I would think that if they had this as fashion for people in the future, this would really make a change as far as fashion is concerned because it's really classy. But the classiness of it is the material that these clothes are made of. And and that most of the women, are fully clothed. It's not like they're naked, but they're fully clothed. But look at the designs and look at the quality of the fabric that you would see in this. As a matter of fact, I'm not gonna play this one. I'm gonna play like the first one that I saw. This one is good, but there was one that the first time that I saw it. Oh yeah, yeah, this one right here. This was called Saffron and Smoke, and this is by Kelly Bosch, Boesch, AI art. This is AI art, and so I want to play this for you. Look at the fashion of it, though. Look at this fashion. Look at the fashion. And if you look at the material, if you look at this material, this is quality material. To buy something like this will cost a lot of money. You can't just go to your regular place and get this kind of fashion because the material is quality material. That's what you'll see. It's quality material and it's uniquely designed. This is the future. This is going to be that's the future of fashion right there. That's going to be the future. And it's so beautiful, the design, but if you look closely at the quality of the material is the thing. See, they don't make things like this here for your regular department stores. You're not gonna find that. In your regular, you're not going to find this in your regular department stores at all, these kinds of fashions. But I believe that this is going to be the fashion of the future. So I just wanted to share that with you. Um, I wanted to share that. But there's more. Well, as a matter of fact, let me do this. Let me do this. What I want to do is I want you to see that the name is, well, this is Kelly Bosch, Boesch, and it's AI, artificial intelligence art. That's what it is. So right down here at the bottom, you see it. It's Kelly Bosch AI art. I think that this is it's very enjoyable. It's enjoyable because like I've just shown you that one. I've shown you that one, but there are many others. Kill. This
Hmm.
is
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum Assalam.
Yes, I was asking AI about the sexual perversion attached to uh, clothing that is not, not fully covered. And here's what it says. The term sexual perversion is considered outdated.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
term itself,
The
sexual
term.
perversion,
Right.
uh, and is no longer used in modern psychology or mental health context due to its moralistic and non clinical connotations. Instead, clinicians and researchers use terms like atypical sexual interests or paraphilias, which are the sexual, only considered disorders, paraphilic disorders, if they cause distress, impairment, or involve non-consenting individuals, meaning the disrobing or the choice of what we choose to put on. I asked the question: does it influence sexual perversion? And I had asked first, would the covering be a benefit to human, as you were showing the coverings and the
Yes.
artistic part of it as
Yeah.
well? And it
Mhm.
said it's individual expression, as long, saying long as it doesn't border limiting a person's expression of their body, of their physical appearance.
Well, let's see. Let's see something. Sexual perversion, sexual appeal in advertising. Sexual appeal in fashion uses elements like body display, suggestive poses, and provocative design. Corsets, sheer fabric, form-fitting clothing to attract attention and trigger desire.
Mm-hmm.
That's sexual appeal, okay?
Uh-huh.
In fashion, leveraging fundamental human drives. Leveraging
Ah.
fundamental human drives, but its effectiveness and reception vary, with modern approaches only focusing on empowerment, self-love, and diverse body types, moving beyond simple objectification to build deeper brand connections and loyalty. So, what's so interesting about this AI fashion that I'm showing you by this person, Kelly, um,
Boss.
yeah, is that the appeal, there's the is the appeal is fully clothed people. And the other part with it is that there's a lot of older people that are in the fashion. in Kelly Bosch's videos, that the older people, it is older people that are being dressed up in these ways, older women and older men that that's being are used in her AI art, which is very unique. And even when younger ones are being used, it's you find that they're fully clothed, that they're fully clothed. So the attention winds up being on the fashion,
Hmm.
on the design and the material, and the makeup and the expression that goes along with the other animated pieces that are actually in there. They are in a lot of her work. Birds are used. Some animals are used, birds are used, and then flowers are used, trees are used. But it's very interesting, and I really think that it's going to be the fashion of the future. The only piece that I see that would stop it would be the quality of the material.
Hmm.
Again, because the way that
You mean the
uh
affordability of it?
yes, because they are using, when you watch it, you could see that this is quality fabric that's being used. This is not mixed with polyester and all the rest of that. Nah, nah, nah. You could tell that the fashion, that the material that's being used is 100%, fast, 100% cotton, 100% silk, all of these, uh, all of that's what's basically in it. The patchwork coats, that to make a patchwork coat like that, is you have to use quality material to actually do it. So I found that, and I'm saying that to you to watch it, because it's I think that you would enjoy it if you
Mhm.
watched it. So those
Yeah.
those are some of the things that's in the upload life. Yeah, Sister Martha, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I can see an evolutionary stage happening whereby artists, people using their, will be using their expression. We only have one way to go, right? Two
Yeah.
ways, I should say, two ways, backwards or forward.
Mm, mm, mm,
And in the presence of it, backwards or forward,
mm,
of what we've conceived in our thinking,
mm,
how
mm,
we've perceived and conceived the idea of being dressed. We only have one body that we
mm,
can clothe,
mhm.
and how we want to be received by the human family. We may strut out like, we may strut out in plaid and corduroy and whatever, reds and greens and loud colors, and it may stand out. But then when you look around at the peacock, we don't question the peacock with its beauty,
Right. Yes.
its
Yes.
multicolors.
Yeah. And you're right about that. You're right about that. There's only two ways to go, and it's like the pendulum swing. We've gone to a point of being undressed to
Uh-huh.
actually being dressed, and don't think that Muslim fashion doesn't have something to do with it. Um,
I mean,
I don't know what happened this year at a time to be grateful, but they usually have the Muslim fashion show. And I mean it, and them sisters, I mean, they really throw down. They really throw down and make some, very beautiful pieces. But that's what it's going to come to. That's what it's coming to that degree. Um, the patchwork coat. Uh, when we were in Saudi Arabia, we went to Taif, and when we went to Taif, which is one of remember, Taif is the city where Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he went there and they stoned him to that degree. That was the city that we visited, and it's up in the mountains. It's so far up in the mountains that it's so far away from the desert that they have green trees and everything that are blooming in Taif. and it rains in Taif. It rained while we were there. It don't rain in South in Mecca or Medina. It does. It didn't rain at all. It's just hot desert. But while we was up there, one of the sisters bought a patchwork coat from them, and it cost about $200. She spent about $200 on that coat, but it was a patchwork coat, and I mean it was beautiful. It was definitely a beautiful coat. And she didn't want to spend $200. She didn't want to spend it, but it is a very unique piece of material, and it was well done, well made. But in these African countries, the African countries or these other countries, they will make pieces like that, patchwork coats, and if you saw the quality of using linen, and to make the dress for the men, this is beautiful. So you get a chance, definitely watch Kelly Bosch, AI art. And I mean, like, and you can play it for an hour. She has a piece in there that's an hour long, but she has shorter pieces also. But they are all very interesting to watch. They're all very interesting to watch. So that's what I'll say about that. So I got 15 minutes left in the program. Um, I did go to the movies yesterday, and I saw Wicked again. It's Wicked 2. Because it's a very good movie, and interestingly enough, when I saw it the first time, at the end of the movie, people clapped. At the end of the movie, I didn't clap, but people clapped because that's how much they enjoyed it. And then when I saw it yesterday, people clapped at the end of the movie. That's how good it is. Um, but the other idea is that it's a movie. As a matter of fact, I never really even thought about it. But in the original Wizard of Oz, it's basically two women characters that are the lead characters. It's Dorothy and the Wicked Witch, with two women characters. And so in this one, it's two women characters. Dorothy isn't even a main character. The main character is the good witch and the bad witch, the wicked witch and the good witch. Okay, those are the two that are there. So it's two women. It's about two women. Okay, and so that's interesting because in today's upload life and movies, etc., there is this appeal toward women, toward what the women are doing and the relation with women. But I thought it was interesting that if you understand the original Wizard of Oz, that you could see that the main character there, Dorothy, it was Dorothy and the Wicked Witch. Those were the two main characters, and the Good Witch. She was a sub character. In the original, you know, uh, um, Wizard of Oz. Um, yeah, so like I said, like it's a good movie to watch. It's not, it wasn't expensive, $20, it's a feel good movie. $20 in New York. It might be, different in other places, but it was $20 in New York. And so it was good. It was a good way to spend. It was a good way to spend a Sunday. For me, it was a good way to spend a Sunday. Just to go to the movies. I'll do things like that. I'll go to the movies. I'll go to the comedy club. I'll go to the museum. I'll go to the jazz club. And just do something. To fill the weekend, to do something like that. And what it does is, it keeps you up on the culture, to a great degree. Not just, to sit home and watch TV, all the time, to that degree. The other part is this here, that, this is New York City, and chestnuts are roasting on the open flyer. Jack Frost is nipping at the nails. Yuletide cows and Merry Christmas to you. So Christmas is coming in New York. So they're doing a lot of decorating. around New York, and the uh, the trains, public transportation is full. People are coming from out of town, all over, to participate in New York City, especially around this time, because this just another spirit that winds up happening in New York, around these holiday seasons, and people seem to be in a better mood, and especially Macy's. You go to Macy's, I mean, oh gosh, man. I mean, Macy's is just so well known, for their Macy's, Bloomingdale's, especially Macy's and Bloomingdale's on the east side. Bloomingdale's on the east side has always been a a place to go, around Christmas time, because they do a great job as far as decorations and stuff like that. So that's where we're at with it, brothers and sisters. This is the holiday season, and I pray that uh, we as Muslims, we should be able to be gracious to our uh to the people that are celebrating this as a holiday. We should be able to be very gracious to them. I mean, to understand, that this is the way that the culture has uh enabled this idea of Christmas that has gone on for, we 100 years. It's going on for 100 years, over 100 years here in America. So it's part of American culture, and it's a good thing. We can find a lot of niggas. Yeah, Jesus wasn't born on the 25th. Yeah, like no, yeah. My father used to tell me. He said, yeah, your mother is your Mary and your father is your Christmas. I mean, he just took that whole thing away from us. He just took that whole thing. He didn't put up a tree or nothing like that. He didn't do it. I had to go to my grandmother's house in order to see the tree and the candy and the meal. I had to go to my grandmother's house to get that done, man. But my father was like, my father would get me I was like, yo, because you're a kid and Christmas is coming around, you expecting a gift. So I got Ibn Yaqub on the phone calling me right now. He don't know that, I'm doing a broadcast right now. Assalamu alaikum. I feel all right. What would you like to happen? We can play a tape. Okay, so we'll play Imam W.D. Muhammad. Is that okay? Okay, bro. So we're gonna make that happen. Right now, let me finish up on this radio program I'm doing on American Muslim 360. All right? Wa alaikum assalam. Okay, so that's Ibn Yaqub Islam, the host of Reviving the Quran and the Sunnah, that plays a little later on today on A New Day Community Radio. That's right, Reviving the Quran and the Sunnah, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Telephone number is 971-379-9162. That's 971-379-9162. And so we invite you to come over and join in the conversation there with us. And Sister Martha, would you like to tell the viewers what will be on American Muslim 360 a little later on today?
Yes. We're asking everyone to join us at 1 p.m. when you leave A New Day for Al Islam Community Radio. At 1 p.m., MAP 5, we'll be having Imam Muhammad Abdul Alim, and he will be going into the civic responsibilities, our rights and our responsibilities, but more aligned with the Imam Warthi Muhammad's book on Islam and government, I believe, politics, the system of government. So asking everyone to come on, and you can look up the PDF that's online. I think it's under for Imam Warthi Muhammad's book on Islam and government.
Mhm.
I think it's titled as that, but it'll bring it up anyway out of the options, and we'll have that discussion. But he will be giving uh, great information about it, and for things that we can work on beyond the understanding of it. So that's going to be this Monday at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. and next Monday at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. He'll be doing 2 weeks. And then following that at 5 p.m. Eastern, all Eastern Standard Time, will be Optimal Health, 5
Mm.
to 7, with Abdul Hafi Shahid out of Atlanta, Georgia. He does Optimal Health, symptometry. So, and then we have 7 to 8 p.m. Imam Abdul Aziz out of Bronx, New York, who perhaps will give us an update on Time to Be Grateful, held there
Okay.
in Newark, New
Right.
Jersey.
Yes. Yeah.
That's Maya
Okay.
Alakulahal, together under all circumstances.
Very good. Okay, so brothers and sisters, I also please be encouraged to listen to us. I'll be on tomorrow morning right here on American Muslim 360 with stories of the lives of the prophets. We didn't get an opportunity to really go into Prophet Ishmael, and it's very interesting because in other scriptures, they don't really mention Ishmael, which is one of the sons of Abraham. And the other scriptures don't recognize him, and they don't recognize him because they say that he was an illegitimate son, and so they have just canceled him out altogether, and they just recognize um, Isaac and Jacob. Isaac and Jacob. They recognize that line, but they don't recognize Ishmael. So if you want to find out about Ishmael, because Ishmael is the line that Prophet Muhammad came through. Yeah. So that's tomorrow right here on American Muslim 360. And well, there's nothing else I really have to say to you this morning. But I look forward to being with you tomorrow, a little later on today at 1 p.m. With Map 5, and then later on this evening with Optimal Health and Maya Cooley Howe with Imam Abdul Aziz. And so until the next time, I give you the greetings. Thank you, Sister Martha, for being with me. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. I'm cleaning walls.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Okay, let's see here. Stop recording there and stop live streaming.